Hello, welcome back. This video is going to be about the basics of how to use DaVinci Resolve and sort of how to navigate yourself around it. This won't be like a full overview of everything that Resolve has to offer. For that, I would really recommend watching some of the tutorials on YouTube. There's a guy, Casey Ferris, who does a bunch of great videos, and there's a bunch of good tutorials out there. So go ahead and just open up DaVinci Resolve. The first thing you might want to know about Resolve is that the way it stores projects is a little bit different than Adobe Premiere. When it makes a project, what it's actually doing is creating a database of that project's files. We've been using it with a network-based server, so different people on our team can sort of log onto the same project and do things collaboratively. But if you're just working by yourself, if you go over here to the local tab, and to start, just hit new project, give it a name. We're going to call this Voyeur 360 and 180 test project. So I'm just going to create a local one there. So this is sort of the initial page that it comes up with. Some things that are kind of helpful is that you can, if you're using two monitors, if you go to workspace, you can go to dual screen and turn that on. Let's see, you can do it for certain pages. So, so if you needed more space, you can do a dual monitor setup like this, but just to make it easier for everybody, where it's just keep it on one monitor so that you can easily see all the things that I'm doing. Down at the bottom, there are a series of tabs, and you can kind of think of these as sort of the general ways that you're going to progress through a project. You're initially going to start in your media tab, which is where you're going to import your media, and you're going to create your folders and bins to hold that content. You're going to, do all your file organization and things in your media tab. The cut tab is one that I don't really use. I suppose this is kind of like a really simplified editing program is sort of what I guess you could use it for. But if you're watching this, my assumption is that you're relatively advanced, because the things we're going to do are a little bit more than just sort of your average edits. So we really tend to work mostly in the edit tab. We've got our timelines. We can put our effects. We got effects tabs. We can access our media by clicking the media pool. So you're going to spend a lot of time in the edit tab, kind of getting your things, getting your project edited together. And then when you go to composite, you're actually going to use the Fusion tab. So the Fusion tab is a node-based compositor, which basically means that you build a bunch of effects utilizing kind of what we call a node tree. And so you can put different nodes and different effects sort of in that tree and connect the things together in a logical way to get the result that you want. So we'll go more into that in a second. The color tab is where you're going to do any color correction on the clips that you bring in. Fairlight is where you do your audio. And then deliver is where you export the sequence that you put together. And they have a bunch of options in there for that. So start with media. So to import, you've got your drives, your local drives here. So I'm just going to go to one of our drives, and let's pull up. Let's pull up where we've got some content. Let's see. Okay, so here's a good example of a classic 360 video plate. Let's go ahead and import both of these clips. So we can just highlight them, drag them into our, don't change. Actually, before we do everything, let's go to our project settings. If you come up here to the top, go to, let's see, it's going to be File, Project Settings. Let's go ahead and change all the settings for our project. So if you scroll up here to Custom, let's go 5760 by 2880. This is going to be our kind of the standard resolution that a lot of the things that we do are in. And then let's go ahead and change that timeline frame rate to 2997. This is a pretty common frames per second that we use. So that's going to be a better. It's going to be a better system. So okay, so then let's go back to these clips. Let's bring in some clips. So we can see here if we double click on these, we can play them in our little viewer window here. And if I right click in here, I can create a new bin. So let's say maybe call this content. You'll notice that I tend to utilize a very similar style of organization for all my projects. So in general, there's usually a content folder, which is where I put video clips and audio clips. Oops, let's see, not import, let's just make a new bin. Then I might have another one called sequences. Then I might create other bins for things like music and let's say graphics. That's another pretty common one. So inside content, so this is footage. So let's go ahead and make always do that. Let's do new bin. Let's just call this footage. We can move that stuff in there. And then let's call this Monoscopic 360. So that's our media tab. So now let's go to our edit tab. I hope you're enjoying this preview of my cinematic 360 video post-production class. You can get this tutorial and 5 complete chapters for free by signing up at learn.voyeur.com. The full class includes 10 hours of content covering stereoscopic, 360 video, 180 VR, and more. It's now available at learn.voyeur.com, so go ahead and check it out.